and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who may or may not already know, my name is Alex, aka Yellowberry.
I'm like, damn, you so fine, girl, what is your sign? She say I'm a Sagittarius, I'm a Capricorn, the beginning and end. I got a friend for your friend, hey, I'm making all of this money to spend. Deal stores buying.
Hey, I don't bite. And as you can see by the title of this video, we are going to get into a conversation about nipple confusion. I noticed that I'm always using the word nipple confusion. For those of you who are like new moms, new parents, or if you're doing your research, you may be familiar with the word or you may not be. Nipple confusion is a term that is mostly used for breastfed babies. Nipple confusion is when a breastfed baby is having trouble breastfeeding after being introduced to a bottle feeding and vice versa. Just a little FYI, I have a bunch of notes, okay y'all? So if y'all see me looking down, you know exactly why. I wanted to ensure that I'm coming to you guys correct with the right amount of information and that I'm not missing anything, so don't read me to filth, okay? You know why I'm looking down. So basically, the reason why nipple confusion happens in a baby is because bottle feeding and breastfeeding require two completely different techniques. Breastfeeding, it requires a whole bunch of hard work from the back of the mouth to the tongue. Just this whole region right here, the baby is working and sucking and a whole bunch of reflexes and stopping to breathe and starting up again and taking breaks and things of that nature. However, a lot of bottles, you hold them upside down, which I always, just like the third video I'm saying this, you hold it upside down, the milk is gonna flow regardless. The baby does not have to put in any real work whatsoever to get the milk out of that bottle. So a lot of the time, which I kind of mentioned in my myths about breastfeeding video, is that a lot of the time a baby can become nipple confused even as early as when they're just born. If there was any intervention done, however, like something happened while you were away from baby and those initial moments, the baby had to get a bottle of formula. You know, the baby's used to that nipple. When they first came out, they didn't get that prime time where they're feeding from mom. So they didn't get that practice in. Don't get me wrong, this is not to say that, oh, if you gave your baby a bottle the first time, they're gonna be nipple confused and to hell with breastfeeding. No, that is not what I'm saying. But I'm saying a lot of things like that may happen, and you have to take that into consideration if you decide to then give a breast that the baby's not latching correctly or they don't have much interest. It's because at this point, it's like, when I put my mouth on that nipple, the milk is coming out. When I put my mouth on your nipple, sis, ain't nothing happening, you feel me? So just bear that in mind. They actually probably will begin to prefer one more than the other. A lot of kids probably prefer to have breasts. A lot of kids probably prefer to have a bottle. And the obvious one, the baby just doesn't understand why when you put me to your chest, it's harder, and when you give me that, it's easier. So that can be where the confusion comes to play. So some signs of nipple confusion are pushing the nipple out of the mouth. Most likely it'll probably be the breast nipple. The baby doesn't open their mouth wide enough. I explained in a previous video that whenever you're breastfeeding, your nipple should be behind the roof, that rough part of the roof of your mouth. Your nipple should be behind it, touching that soft surface. So if the baby's only opening their mouth wide enough for the nipple to go right under that roof, it's gonna be painful for you, and the baby's not gonna be getting the adequate amount of milk because that's essentially not how they're supposed to be drinking. So that will result in some sore nipples too. And if you're noticing that when you're breastfeeding, your baby's becoming very frustrated, it's because they're used to that initial suck and milk coming out from their bottle. However, when you're breastfeeding, your baby may have to suck on your nipple not long, maybe like 5 to 8 seconds or whatever. However, whatever works for your kid, your baby has to suck in order for the milk to actually come down. So if your baby starts to get frustrated, it's because they're noticing that, hey, when you give me a bottle, the milk comes as soon as I put my mouth on it. But now I'm here with you and I gotta wait. So, you feel me? Is it a myth? I do believe in the concept of nipple confusion. However, they do state that whenever you're breastfeeding, you should not give your child any artificial nipples, including a pacifier, before 6 weeks of age. Why? Because 6 weeks of age is a time when both you and your baby are becoming fully acquainted. Like, you're starting to get to know sis, and sis is starting to get to know you. Sis is starting to learn your breast, you starting to learn your breast, you starting to learn your baby. So it's that optimal time where two strangers, who aren't really strangers, but your strangers, are starting to get to know each other. So when you introduce something in between that important time of 6 weeks, is just kind of throwing something else in the loop that kind of makes the baby feel like, hey, I'm not really used to sucking on a breast, but this bottle is hitting, you know what I'm saying? So I do believe in the concept. However, I did not have that issue with my daughter. I actually gave my daughter a pacifier and a bottle at 3 weeks. However, I was trying to hold off until 6 weeks, but as I've explained to you guys previously, in the beginning, I was over breastfeeding. Okay, I was a new mom. I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm tired of people giving me my baby to feed. I'm tired of being somebody just always being on me and sucking on me. And, you know, everything was just new. My nipples hurt a little bit. I was over it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to pump and I'm going to give this baby a bottle. I'm going to take a nap. Y'all do what y'all do and let me know how it goes. It ended up fine. However, when I do have to give her a bottle, she does scream for me because she is used to that comfort because she is a breastfed baby. But when sis get hungry enough, she gonna take that bottle, you feel me? But that goes to show that every child and every mother is different. So my child may not have been nipple confused, but somebody else's child may have that nipple confusion. So I actually spoke to 2 people. One is a mom and one has experience with children, and I'm just tell you what they said. One person, her baby was actually a preemie baby, so she had to put her baby in the NICU for a little while before bringing her home. So her baby was initially used to just being bottle fed because she couldn't take her baby out of the NICU to breastfeed. So she said she definitely doesn't think that it's a myth, but for her daughter, it was just that she didn't know how to latch because she used a nipple shield for 2 months. But once she learned the concept of latching, they were fine. And she was always bottle fed and breastfed, which worked for them since she didn't plan on breastfeeding past 6 months. And it made their weaning experience much smoother. Her daughter was nipple confused and didn't want to breastfeed from her. So what a lot of moms do is to buy nipple shields, which help the breastfeeding process. I don't have any experience with nipple shields, so I can't really speak on that, but nipple shields did help her. So then I said, weaning from breast to bottle, she said, I don't know if she had nipple confusion, but just by looking up nipple confusion, you can say she had it at the beginning because she was strictly bottle fed in the NICU since she pumped. So yeah, so that was just one person's experience with nipple confusion. She believes it's a concept. And one more person, this person actually reached out to me before and was like, nipple confusion is not a thing. And I'm just like, sis, what you mean it's not a thing? I'm just kidding. But I did reach out to her because I did want to hear her standpoint. So basically she said most babies have no problem switching from breast to bottle and some do. All babies are different, but honestly I think it's how you introduce bottles after the baby already got used to breastfeeding and how soon, the sooner the better, to prevent confusion. But all babies are different. So now that she actually explained herself, I do feel like we kind of have the same standpoint. It's kind of like you can't say nipple confusion is a thing for every single baby, and if you introduce it before 6 weeks or if you introduce it after 6 weeks, every case varies. Every child is different. Every parent is different. Every experience is going to be different. So is nipple confusion a thing? Whatever the word for that concept is, it exists. They named it nipple confusion. So there are ways to avoid it if your child does become nipple confused or whatever you would like to call it. Like I mentioned, to wait 6 weeks until introducing baby to any artificial nipples, like a pacifier or a bottle. If you do have to feed your baby with a bottle, make sure to only bottle feed when you're not around, because you do not want your baby to become dependent of bottle feeding if that's not what you want for your child. If that is what you want for your child, rock on. Keep feeding them from the bottle, keep pumping or giving them formula, whatever is comfortable for you. But if you do want to have a breastfeeding bond, if you do not want to stop breastfeeding per se, make sure that if you have to, like what I do, if you have to, like when I'm not around, I feed Gianna out of a bottle. Well, somebody else does, but the times when I am home, strictly breast. And lastly, do your own research, okay? Everything is case by case. I cannot say, oh, your baby's nipple confused or whatever the case may be. You know what's going on with your baby. You know what's going on with you. You know your situation. So just do research, talk to doctors, talk to lactation consultants, talk to professionals. I can only give you what I know, what I've learned along the way, as long as from other professionals. But again, I am not a professional. I think you should definitely do your research and ask your appropriate questions and classify yourself where you need to be classified. Back to if this is a myth, like, I don't know. What do you guys think? If you have any experience or if you don't have any experience just watching this video, do you think that nipple confusion is a myth? Do you think that it's not a myth? Tell me your opinions down in the comment section below. Alright guys, so as you can see, I am in different makeup and clothes, and I have Gianna with me. Say hi, Gigi. In this video, I totally neglected to answer you guys' questions that you asked me on Instagram pertaining to breastfeeding, so I'm gonna answer them here. And also, I forgot to mention that I'm going to be having a giveaway for any new moms or any pregnant moms, so make sure that you enter the giveaway. It's gonna have a few things in there for mom and a few things in there for a baby. I'm not exactly sure what's gonna be in there. Depending on who wins it, I'll be able to, make it more unique for the mom. So make sure you stay to the end of this video to find out how to enter into that giveaway. So let's get started with these questions. The first question I received was, does it leak? So no, my breasts don't leak anymore. However, in the beginning, when my milk production was coming in, when my body was trying to learn basically how much milk it should produce for Gianna, it used to leak more, but now, no, it doesn't leak at all. I'm sorry. It does leak only if my breasts are getting full. Like say for instance, I'm away from Gianna for a very long time, but do my breasts leak all the time? No, like it's literally something that happens every now and again. Does it hurt? So I answered this question before, but no, breastfeeding does not hurt. However, there are some times that it may hurt, like in the beginning when your milk first comes in, or if your baby doesn't know how to latch correctly. So little things like that may lead to it being painful, but overall the process of breastfeeding does not hurt. Right now when Gianna feeds for me, I don't feel a thing. The next question is about how often do you pump? I don't pump often at all. If I know I'm gonna go out, then that's when I'll pump, and I don't go out that much, so I don't pump like that. Are there specific bras that you suggest? Yes, I actually showed you guys the bras that I like, and I forgot which video it is. I'm gonna link it up above as well as down below. So the bras that I like, they're like a nylon kind of material, and you're able to clip the strap. So it kind of has like a strap like this, and you're able to clip it and bring down the bra. I love those bras. They're so flat. I feel like they're good if you're going out, like if you're wearing a shirt over it or a tight fitted shirt, you don't see the big chunky bra underneath. And it's also practical when you're sleeping at night as well. You just lift up your shirt, unclip the bra, and feed the baby. Somebody said leakage. What happens if you can't feed at the moment? So for me, there is no I can't feed at the moment. My child has to get fed. There's a time where she's not around, my breasts are leaking, then I'll pump. Again, there's not really ever a time when that happens because I'm pretty vigilant. Is that the word? I'm pretty proactive when it comes to, like, if she's not around, then I make sure that I have my pump with me. I make sure that I'm pumping, in the right amount of time. I don't exceed 4 hours. Or like I said, if my kid has to eat, she's gonna eat. There's no like, I can't feed my kid right now. Like, how the hell are you not gonna feed your kid? She gotta eat. Next, somebody said latching. That's all they said. So I'll just answer that the best way that I can. So when it comes to latching, that is something unique between both you and your baby. If it's painful, like I mentioned before, if it's painful, it should not be painful. So make sure that you're consulting a lactation consultant. If you don't know where to find one, Google is your best friend. Talk to your doctor. Excuse me, a lot of the times the hospitals that you give birth in, they have lactation consultants, and they also encourage you to go back to them to make sure that you're having a very healthy breastfeeding process. So that's what I got for latching. Somebody said, I want to know how pump and dump works. It doesn't. So I personally do not pump and dump. I know that the whole concept of pumping and dumping is kind of like, no. They say that if you're gonna drink, make sure that you're drinking, say for instance, like it's a glass of wine or 1 glass of hard liquor, not a full glass, like a mixed cocktail or drink or something. If you're having one of those, then you should make sure that you're not feeding until another 3 hours, or that make sure that you're drinking 2 hours before the next feeding. Or the next thing that they say is that if you are breastfeeding, make sure that you are coherent enough to drive a car. If you're coherent enough to drive a car, then you should be okay to feed your child. Now, the story behind that one is basically they just don't want you to be too drunk that, you can't take care of your child, or you fall asleep and roll over on them, or you fall asleep and the baby's screaming all night and you're just too drunk to wake up. But to each their own. If you don't feel safe drinking and breastfeeding, then don't, because like I get it. However, me personally, I don't pump and dump. I feed Gianna when I do drink. There has never been a time where I've been like stoned, hammered, like it is what it is. Gianna's fine, right, G? She seems to be progressing fine. Again, I do my own thing, what works for me and my kids, so do what works for you and your kids. But you don't have to pump and dump at all. Like, breast milk is liquid gold. You don't want to dump it. Like, just don't drink it for that, you know? Somebody said nipple rings. Like, I'll be damned if I gotta do it over for a third time. Well, I did have my nipples pierced. I took them out before I had Gianna, so I can't really give you much information on nipple rings. However, I did hear that it does not affect breastfeeding. I don't think that the milk is gonna squirt out of like your piercing holes. Then again, I don't know. Other moms have said that it doesn't. The only thing is you just don't want your baby sucking on metal. Somebody said not latching or only latching, wanting one side. I've actually experienced that with Gianna for like a couple of days, where she only wanted to drink from my right boob, more so my left boob. And no, she wanted to drink from my left boob and not my right boob. It was around the time she was going through like a little leap, which is like a little growth spurt, and the milk out of my left boob comes out way slower than my right boob. So I found that she was favoring the left boob because she didn't feel like dealing with all that extra milk slapping her in the back of her throat or whatever. So what I do for that is I just feed her from the boob that she wants, and I pumped the other boob more. So if she drank from this boob and this boob hasn't seen a baby in like 4 hours, I would make sure to pump the boob, because again, you don't want to get a boob infection called mastitis. You don't want to get like these hard rocks in your boob, and it gets really uncomfortable when the milk has not come out. So I would just put it on the boob that she wants to drink out of and just pump the other one and store it for any future time. Somebody said, will my boobs be saggy forever? Well, I cannot answer that. Everybody's genes are different. My best friend, she recently stopped breastfeeding her baby, and her boobs went right back to pre-pregnancy. My boobs right now, I do feel like they are a little like, and I don't know, I'm still breastfeeding, so I can't say. And I know my friend's mom, my friend is my age, 26, and her mom had the same experience where after she breastfed my friend, after 6 months, her breasts went right back to pre-pregnancy size. They weren't saggy or anything. So I guess that's like something that's probably in your genes, because I do know a lot of women do suffer from saggy boobs after breastfeeding. All right, so the next question is how to make sure it doesn't hurt as bad as everyone says it will. Again, breastfeeding can be something that's very easy for some, and it can be very challenging for others. Make sure that you take a breastfeeding class, one, because that'll help you learn how to make sure your baby's latching correctly. It'll indicate to you the signs that, you know, something is not going right, whether it's on your end or the baby's end. And make sure that you get in contact with a lactation consultant in the event that it is hurting. Again, breastfeeding should not hurt you. Aside from like when your milk first comes in, and like, you know, that those first couple of weeks of just, you know, the baby getting used to your boob and latching and things of that nature. Other than that, breastfeeding does not hurt. I've been breastfeeding for 5, almost 6 months, and literally when Gianna's drinking from me, I don't even feel anything. The next question is, do you feed Gianna baby food yet or just breast milk? You're gonna make me cry.
No week.
So next week, we are starting Gianna on solids when she turns 6 months. Literally, y'all, I have a alarm set, 12 a.m. I'm waking up, making my baby girl some oatmeal. I'm trying to consider if I'm gonna put my breast milk in it, if I'm gonna put condensed milk in it, but whatever. So as of right now, no, Gianna is just straight chunky off of breast milk, but we will be starting her on solids in 8 days to be exact. Well, 7 days when you see this video. Does it feel differently pumping versus when Gianna latches? Does it feel different? To be honest, if it does feel different, I can't really tell. There's an art to your pumps as well. I forgot the name of it. The suction part that where your nipple sits in is supposed to be large enough for your nipple to just basically glide through that little tunnel. It shouldn't be too tight where it's scraping your nipple. So So for me, I don't feel the pump either. Sorry if I'm not answering that. The next question is, would you rather pump or have Gianna latch? It doesn't matter to me. Do you also formula feed as well as breastfeed? No, Gianna has never had anything but breast milk. How long are you supposed to breastfeed before you ease off? There is no limit. Like I had a friend that breastfed her child until he was 3 years old, and she decided to wean him off at 3. It wasn't even like, oh my gosh, 3 is the cutoff. So there are people that stop breastfeeding after 3 months. There's some people that stop breastfeeding after 3 years. So that's really up to you. Does it make your breast sag? My breasts, I do feel like, did sag a bit. Probably not gonna notice because they're still relatively small, but they are saggier than pre-pregnancy. And somebody else asked me, does it hurt? Which I already answered that question. So that was all the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. Thank you so much for interacting with me. I love being informative. So now let's get into this giveaway. In order to enter into this giveaway, you have to 1, be subscribed to my YouTube channel. 2, follow me on Twitter if you have a Twitter. Follow me on Instagram, which is at YELLOOBERRY. And make sure that you are following and like my Facebook page. That's it, y'all. That's all you have to do to enter into the giveaway. And when you are done doing that, make sure you come back to my YouTube comments and comment anything that you want. But make sure to include your Instagram name so I can contact you when I choose the winner. And again, I'm not exactly sure what's going to be in this giveaway box. I just know that it's going to be for new moms, and there are going to be some things for babies. So make sure that you enter. And even if you're not pregnant, you have a friend that's pregnant, you know, we're going to hook them up real quick. So that'll be all for today's video. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button, drop a like. No, make sure you like it and drop a comment. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.